You know April Fool's Day, right? Of course you do. But what if the prank wasn't just some silly gag? What if the joke was on a whole country? And what if the ones telling the joke were the very people everyone trusted? Yeah, let's get into it. Because on April 1st, 1930, the biggest joke turned out to be a really, really devastating lie. Okay, so let's set the scene. April 1st, 1930. Think about it. We're only a few months out from the massive market crash of '29. People are scared. They're looking for any sign of hope, just a little reason to believe that the worst is behind them. And, well, on this particular day, they got it. Or so they thought. And this really gets to the heart of the whole thing, doesn't it? I mean, we usually think of reassurance as a good thing, right? A comfort. But what happens when it's not a comfort? What if it's a weapon? What happens when those calming words are actually designed to hide a terrifying truth? When "don't worry" is the most dangerous phrase you could possibly hear. So let's break it down. We're going to look at the anatomy of this lie. It was, honestly, a masterclass in deception, all designed to keep people calm while the whole system was basically falling apart from the inside out. And you have to appreciate the sheer coordination of it. Just put yourself there for a second. You wake up, you grab the newspaper, and all the headlines are talking about stability. You switch on the radio, and you hear government officials sounding so confident, saying the economy is sound, recovery is right around the corner. Then you see the pictures, bankers smiling for the cameras. The message was coming from everywhere, and it was the same simple story. Everything is getting better. But, that was all just on the surface. Underneath that shiny, polished image of calm, the whole system was rotting from the inside. And nobody could see it. Everything was fine. Just think about that phrase. That was the mantra. It was repeated over and over again, to factory workers, to families trying to plan for the future, to pretty much anyone who dared to ask, "Hey, are you sure about this?" It's so simple, so easy to believe. And that was the whole point, wasn't it? It was like a drug, a verbal anesthetic to numb everybody to the absolute pain that was just on the horizon. I mean, the contrast is just, wow. It was so stark. So while everyone's being told everything is fine, the reality was the complete opposite. You had factories not just struggling, but shutting down for good, and doing it at night so no one would panic. You had banks that were all smiles at the counter, but behind the scenes, they were limiting how much of your own money you could withdraw. And this is the real kicker. The same executives telling everyone else to hold on, they were secretly selling off all their own stock. They were getting out, saving themselves, and leaving everybody else to deal with the mess. And this is where it stops being about big headlines and economics and starts being about real people. This is the human cost. Because a lie this big doesn't just stay in the boardrooms. Nope, it trickles all the way down and it shatters people's lives. And the thing is, people trusted them. I mean, why wouldn't you? This was the government, the banks, the newspapers. Trust is kind of the glue that holds everything together, right? It's this basic belief that the people in charge are, looking out for you. And back in 1930, for the most part, that trust was still there. So let's zoom in on one person. Picture a father. Maybe he's been working his whole life, saving every single dollar he could for his kids. He walks into his bank right around this time. He's heard the news on the radio. He's seen the smiling bankers in the paper. And he has a choice to make. Does he pull out all of his life savings, just in case? Or does he trust the experts? And, well, based on everything he's being told, he makes what seems like the only logical choice. He leaves his money right where it is. A total act of faith in the system. But here's the thing about putting your faith in a lie. The consequence is always inevitable. And it's usually brutal. That whole perfect picture they painted on April 1st, it was never going to last. The truth was coming, and boy, was it coming fast. And this is where you see just how fast and how brutal that betrayal was. One day, he makes that act of faith, leaves his life savings in the bank. Just a few weeks later, the truth is out. The bank's doors are chained shut, and the money, his family's entire future, it was just gone. Not tied up, not hard to get to, gone. Forever. So what's the big lesson here? Well, this whole story tells us something really chilling about how these crises actually work. And it's probably the opposite of what you'd expect. It's not really about the big, loud crash itself. This right here, this is what you could call financial horror. And it's how it begins. See, we think it starts with panic, right? People screaming in the streets, traders losing their minds on the stock floor. But that's not the beginning. That's the end. This story shows us that the real horror, the moment the damage is truly done, it starts way earlier. It starts quietly. It starts with a comforting smile, a confident headline, a calm, reassuring lie. The lie always comes first. At the end of the day, that's the big takeaway from all this. The collapse, the panic, the heartbreaking loss, all of that stuff comes after. It all follows that one single action. And it's a hell of a reminder, isn't it? That the most dangerous moments aren't when everyone is freaking out. They're when everyone is being told not to. Which kind of leaves you with a scary question. How would we spot that same kind of reassurance today?